Dear students, welcome to Swayam Siksha. It's been a long time that I have done a YouTube video, and I felt like it is necessary right now to come up with a video which is going to regenerate some vigor in our thought process, so that it's not just about students, it is for everybody. As we all know that we are in difficult circumstances, and these are circumstances which we did not expect. And especially when I got affected with COVID and trying to think, or in fact, I can say overthink, like what is this all about? Now, you put in a lot of effort, you stagnate, you put in a lot of effort, you stagnate, see people dying. So, harsh truths which we have learned from this scenario, the ugliest part of death, the importance of health, and how systems work in our country, and how life does not have any meaning, especially if it is for the poor man. And these are some things which are just going around us and can be observed by each and every one of us. It could have been in our own families or distant relatives who got affected because of COVID. The financial stress, the psychological pressure, especially for people with bigger aspirations. Now, I'm not referring to somebody who's preparing for civil services alone. So, somebody who want to make a mark in this world before they die, they have to go through all the challenges and struggles which life is going to throw on them. Whether it is athletes, whether it is business, whether it is students aiming for bigger targets, one thing is common: the bigger is your goal, the more would be the social exclusion, the more you will be alienated from the rest of the crowd. And that is the reason the stress amount of pressure you feel will always be high, and it would be difficult for us, or in that scenario, the person who is in that situation, to handle pressure. And the situation generally in our hands. So many people keep saying, you are the master of your destiny. You create your own destiny. Now, the whole logic here is everybody knows that there are certain uncontrollable factors which are beyond our control. Now, what we possess is only a reaction to them. Are we going to crib, or are we going to change the way we react to certain aspects which are beyond our control? We have to understand that there are factors which are beyond our control, but the only thing we have in our hand is the way we react to those situations. Okay, so I try to recollect a very beautiful quote which was written by Friedrich Nietzsche, which says, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow." So, here what we need to understand is there were circumstances and situations, especially when we talk about the Nazi camps or the extermination camps, where the people were tortured far beyond the expectation. They were burned in the gas chambers if they were not fit for work. And even in such circumstances, there were people who survived. We are not in scenarios which are more dangerous or more critical than these. When earlier people have survived, it shows that we have to, or there is every scope. And many people who died in these camps, in the Nazi camps, were not those people without food or medicine, but those people who do not have a why to live. That why can be the work which you are doing right now, that why can be your family or your love, the why can be anything meaningful which generates hope in the minds. Now, this is quite theoretical. You feel it theoretical, but this is the harsh reality which we have to understand. Now, sir, why are you talking about all this? Now, there are few things which we need to understand here. Now, when students are calling up, especially, and say, Sir, I've lost all the interest. Now, there is something that has happened at home. Now, just think of history, just think of scenarios, just imagine how these camps would have run, how these gas chambers would have burnt bodies, and how people have survived even in such critical circumstances. Now, what do you think? Now, could they control the situation? Definitely, they were not in a position to control. Then, what is that they could do? When you're not in a position to control a situation, is you have two choices here. The way you react to the situation is in your control. Okay, so the whole logic is the man whose self esteem has always depended on the respect of others is always emotionally destroyed. Now, it is the freedom of choice which we have, the way we respond to the situations in front of us. So, this is something which is very crucial for everybody to understand. Now, some student was saying, so there's a lot of pressure on me. Okay, I'm going to get married in another 6 to 7 months, and but still I want to prepare for civil services. I don't know what to do. Is that a problem? Just try to observe the society. If we have our basic needs met without much difficulty, we are fortunate enough, and be grateful to the Almighty in terms of giving you this fortune, that even in difficult circumstances, in fact, most of us are not in so very difficult circumstances as we imagine. Rather, we overthink and complicate things. So, this analysis, if you can have, forget about concentration. Now, sir, how do we get back on track? Now, several teachers would have suggested, come on, try fixing a time and start focusing on your studies. There is no point in forcefully sitting in front of book trying to concentrate without having the urge or interest or desire to focus. How forcefully you push yourself to do an activity which you are not able to concentrate is of no use, especially during certain situations like this when it is difficult to concentrate. My suggestion is find flow. So I was reading this book called Ikigai, and I got this idea, or not this idea, in fact, which is something which we everybody know. We do certain things in such a manner that time just passes away. I don't know what that thing is. It can be anything. For some few people, it can be a sport. For few people, it can be talking to somebody. For few people, it can be reading. And for few, it can be something like playing a video game. It can be any damn thing which people say it is wrong, but which pushes you into a flow which is going to be completely different. That means if you have to do great things in life, or first of all, forget about the logic of great, if we have to live our life happily, so it is all about how happy you are at this point of time or at this moment. These moments make minutes and hours and years pass by, and death comes just like that. This is what we have understood or what we have observed during the COVID pandemic. So people may be having great goals. People would have planned for several things which they will do it in the future. They would have decided, I'll do that, I'll do this. But when death comes, it picks you. There is no differentiation. So what becomes important is not about how much wealth you have earned, not about how much ego you have built. It is all about how much happy you were or how you have led your life all these years. So every moment, every minute, or every situation, the way you have dealt. So the pride in handling difficult situations, it makes you stronger. It makes you stronger. And so here, one small solution which I wanted to suggest for students: forget about studies, forget about this, that. Just focus on, at least for few hours, you can focus on those things which will generate that flow. I like this idea of Japanese idea, which they when they're talking about finding flow in everything you do. It's difficult to find flow in everything you do, but at least find those activities where you can understand that there is flow. What I mean by understand there is flow is you forget time. Suppose a teacher is teaching, not even realizing that he has taught for 3 hours. A student is studying some book which is you're reading about Hitler, and you forget that what you don't you hardly realize that you were sitting there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You're sitting there for 4 hours, 5 hours. 5 hours looks like 15 minutes. Now these are areas you're cooking. It's an activity, and some people get engrossed into that activity called cooking to such an extent that you don't even realize that you have spent 2 hours or 2.5 hours. This is what I'm talking about, flow. So concentration on a single task, no, unknowingly the time passes away. Now identifying such tasks during such situations where mind is getting distracted is very, very important. So suppose, for example, I love reading, so when I'm reading, I just forget time. So it can be something else for you. So whatever it is, you can't sit the whole day doing that. I do understand the time is very crucial for you, but getting into these activities will put you on track. And then again, when you shift your concentration for studies, automatically you will again start focusing. So this is how you build concentration. So build focus, build concentration. Then how do you do it? First, think of those activities which will make you or reduce your overthinking. You keep on overthinking what will happen, what will happen, what will happen. You're draining your energies. So those activities which will reduce your energy drain, which will create that flow, is something which is very important. So concentrate on that single task, whether it is maybe playing badminton, or whether it is whatever it is, whatever it is. So I suggest you to focus on that one activity at least for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then you find your path, and then you start focusing on your goal. And that's all. This is something which I thought, and the problem which you are facing is definitely harsh. We have understood harsh realities of life in terms of the health structures, our own immunity, savings. You plan something and something suddenly happens and shatters you. The whole world going against you. Especially when your goals are big, remember one simple thing, that you have to fight the world. There is nothing like a very lovely world outside. It's a war. It's a war with yourself. It is a war with outside world. So that understanding you should understand. When you are growing at a faster pace, everybody becomes your friend. When you are losing, everybody puts you down. This is the harsh reality. But how do you handle it is the key. And that is what. So this is, I think this is sufficient for this video, where I want students, instead of just reading books, so I'll write polity, sir, what to do with polity, economy. It's not about polity, economy. It's about how do you get back on track. That's very, very important. So that's the reason I wanted to speak out what I felt like. I'll come up with more such videos, and please stay in touch. Thank you.